The first feature is the page manager. So for a long time, we had to go into the WordPress admin dashboard to add all our pages. But with the page manager, all I have to do is to come over here and say add new to add my page. And then I can just call this page whatever I want. So let's just call this new page like that. And then once I've done that, I just decide what I want to add here. Should I add it as published, or should it be a draft, or should I schedule it? So in my case, I'll leave it here as published, for example, and then I can go in and add a page. Now, this feature also does not only create pages, it also creates posts. So here you can add blog posts while you're in the actual builder itself, which is fantastic. And you can also add projects. So for example, in this case, it's pages. So I've just called this new page, or let's call this new Mac page. If I say add page, and pretty much that's added. So if I come over here now, I can see it's right here. And now I can click on this edit page and I can start editing that page right away. This has saved me a lot of time, because before we used to go into the WordPress admin dashboard. In fact, I'll show you how we used to do this before. We used to come over here, we go to pages, and then we go to all pages, or you can just go straight to add page, and then you start typing it over here. And then you say use Divi Builder. So there's about 5 steps, or maybe 4 steps, that we have saved by having this in the actual Divi Builder itself. Fantastic. The next feature definitely has to be the preset manager. So before, our presets used to be operated over here. So let's say I added a single column here. Let's add some text in here like that. So if we wanted to create a preset, we would come over here to the top and then say new preset from current styles. And then once it's created, there was no other way of going in other than just fixing everything over here. But because of the preset manager now, we can go into whatever preset it is. So, for example, here I have all these presets. I can literally make this as a default. I can go in and edit it. I can duplicate it. I can delete it over here in the preset manager. But that's not only that. I like the fact that I can rearrange all the presets in the order that I want. For example, I'm going to come over here to my text presets, and you can see I have quite a lot. So if I wanted to rearrange these, and for example, maybe I use K-text small a lot. In fact, let me just show you what it looks like over here. So you can see it's a mirror of what we have here. But what makes it really cool is over here, we can't rearrange them. Okay. But over here we can. So I can just literally drag this like that, and extra small comes over here on the top. Sub headline, since I don't use it a lot, I'm going to bring it down here, and then I'm going to also bring out my text base, which is my paragraph text. So this order now, extra small, small, and then base. I may need my text large after that, like that, and then maybe at this point I'm going to need my sub headline. Okay, so now if I save this, this is going to be the order that things are going to be over here. So let me just save this page here, make sure everything is okay. So if I come, you can see now I have extra small, small, body text, and then for the large, and then the sub headline. So you can have them in the order that you use them, because sometimes it may be that the one that you use the most is all the way down here. So you don't want to keep going all the way down there to access that preset. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, and this one here is one of my favorite. So you can use this as a combination of presets and variables. So let's say you're using a scale to define all your text sizes. So you'd come over here to the variable manager, you go to numbers, and then this is where you'd set all your numbers. So for example, I have my text extra small with that size. So this is the size that corresponds to what I have over here if I set this to extra small. In fact, let's make it slightly bigger so we can see a difference. Let's go with the base. Okay, so let's say this is the size. If I were now to come over here to the body text and change this, right, it is going to apply across the whole website where we have this body text, and this now is being controlled by the variable manager. Whereas before, when we used to design, we used to make these changes over here. So this is where we would come, we would go into our text, and over here on the text size is where we would go in and add our sizes. So we were very limited before because this was the only place we could change the sizes and then create a preset if we needed to. But this time around, we can define all the sizes over here and then set our presets later on. So if you do need to make changes across the whole website, you change them in one place. You don't even have to touch this side of things when it comes to the sizes. So what I really like about the variable manager is you don't really have to work with numbers only. You can come over here, you can work with images. So when you add your images here, you can add your global images, whether it's a, let's say for example, you want to upload a logo, you can actually set it over here, and any other type of images you want to add. Here we also have text. Oops, I have to delete that. Here we also have text, and you can add your name and the string here. That also is very, very handy. Again, I have to delete it. We also have links. So if you have specific links here, you can add them here. This type of links are links perhaps maybe to specific pages, or maybe links to, let's say, your terms. So you can easily insert them over here. Next, we also have our colors, and colors are very important in design. As you can see, I've populated all my colors here, and pretty much, you know, I have every single color shade that I need based on my base colors. So for example, for my primary colors here, this is my main color. All these colors here, these are all the shades. I've already added them in. So when I need to go in and start designing, all I have to do is to go, for example, to this section background and apply a background. So this is where I would come. I would go into my dynamic content, and let's say I want to use a really dark background. Okay, we're going to go with that. And then in here, right, I can go in and use a lighter color. So I can achieve that by coming over here to my background. And let's say for this, I'm going to go with, so this way I can play around and see which color actually works. So in this case, I want a color that is closer. So visually, I'm just choosing numbers. So now I can go with primary 600 like that. And then here, let's just add some breathing space into this. And you see where the power of these presets come in. As I mentioned a few moments ago, presets are really, really exciting to use. So if I wanted to add my spacing here, I can go in and let's say padding medium, and this is going to apply to all the sides. I can even go with padding large. There we go. You see that? So it is very, 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 very easy and very exciting to use. So I like the fact that I can go in and add my colors the way I want. And if I wanted to change the text color here, I can just go in and I'm going to look for body text light. Now I have the lighter version. I'm not sure if the contrast is better here, but I can always go in and change that color. Okay, let's get rid of that. We can go back to our content here, go to our background, maybe perhaps make this background darker. So I always forget to come over here to the variable manager. Okay, so I have it at 400. I could try it 500, and you can see my shades are already there. So this is a really, really good feature to have with the variables, because you can use them in conjunction with everything else we have here in terms of these presets. The next feature that I like, and without a doubt, this is one of my favorite, it is the groups, right? The groups is really awesome. So I can literally go in, create a single column here, go into the group, and then pack in everything that I want in that group. For example, I can start off with an image like that. And then after the image, I can go in and say, I want some a heading text. And then after the heading text, I can go in and say, I want a paragraph text. So let's just search for text like that. And then after that, I can say, perhaps maybe I want another group, right? So this is where we start getting flexibility now with our design. I can click here on this plus button and then go for group. And in that group, perhaps maybe I want to have two buttons. So I'm going to say button like that. And with the button there now, I can duplicate the button Okay, so now I have full control of what happens in the second group that I have, because now it's a group within a group. So in this group now, I can go in and say, okay, you know what? I want to center this using what? Using Flexbox. So I can do that now, and my buttons now are side by side. I can go further now and say, in this button here, let's change it to a primary button, and then this one here can be my secondary button. I mean, I'm just doing this just to, you know, show you that it is very, very easy now when I have all my presets. So now that I have that group, I can go into this group now, right, and add some padding around it. So I'm going to come over here to my spacing, and perhaps I'm going to go with medium for this. And I can also add a background color to it. So I can go to background here, and this time I'm going to go with a very, very light blue. There we go, right? So this now is a group. Now I intentionally did this because I wanted you to see that everything here is actually in a group. So I can now go in here, add the image that I want, and so on. So if I wanted to duplicate this or rearrange this, it is very, very easy for me to do that. So I can just duplicate this like that, and then go into this row, elements, and then in this column here, I can now go in and set my auto grid like that. And now they're side by side, which is fantastic. So the group feature allows us to create, I would say, components, which you can reuse at a later stage. So with this now, I'm going to move on to my next feature, which again is really, really powerful in Divi. I mean, this is so powerful that it just makes the designing of websites with Divi 5 even more exciting. So with this, I can turn this into a loop. So we can use our loop builder here. I'm not sure if I have anything to showcase in terms of my posts. So if I set this to loop, I can choose what I need to have here. So I have posts. So now with this loop, I can go in and set my image to a featured image. So I can say loop featured image, boom. And now you can see I have a featured image based on that loop. Over here, this is my heading. I can now say a link, and this can be my loop post custom field. No. It needs to be here, text. Okay, I'll come over here, and this will be my loop post title. Look at that, hello world. So it's pulling now from the blog. So over here, this can be my blog excerpts. So I can come over here and click over here, and then this is going to be my loop excerpts. There we go. So now I have my loop excerpt. I can define how many words I want. So let's say I want 12 words. Boom, it's updated. And then finally, I want this button here to be the link to actually read the actual posts. So I can come over here. Is it this one? Nope. I'll come over here to the link, and the button link is going to be the loop link. There we go. So now this is a complete card for my blog posts. So we can get rid of this one here. Okay, let's click apply. So that is our loop. If I had more than one blog posts, you could see them multiplying over here, and they'll all show, and then you can decide how you want to add them on the page. But it is very, very cool to use these loops in our design. Okay, let's move on to the next feature, and this feature here is also really, really cool because we can use our keyboard shortcuts to start adding elements. So for this one here, it is the command center. It's called the command center. Really, really amazing. So with the command center here, I can do a command K, right? It opens up the command center, and I can add all sorts of things. So for example, I can say blurb, right? So if I hit shift enter, right, I can add something else on there. So let's say I want to add text or even a bar counter. So now you can see here the bar counter has been added, over here. But of course, you want to get used to how this works, but you can do all sorts of things. I mean, you can do a command K and add a page. So you can just type in add page and then just use your arrow keys, and then boom, you can go in and start adding a page, just like how we did with the page manager. You can do again a control K, Command K, and maybe you want to go into the builder settings. So you type it like that, hit enter, and then of course you have to leave to go to the builder settings. But all this can be done now from this command center. Now I did a complete video about this. I may not be doing enough justice to it right now, but there's a video that I did where I show you how this is used. I can link that in the video description as well. But this is really cool. Once you master these commands, it's going to make the designing of websites super, super easy as you use Divi. Now let's go to my next, and this one here is one of my favorite. I mean, let's get rid of this. Okay, so let's say this layout here, we're trying to experiment and see which layout works better. Before it used to be quite difficult because it was like, okay, how do I even show clients, the different versions? Now, with the next feature, which is canvases, you are able to come over here, right? And then you can click and duplicate this, right? Now that we have the duplicate over here on the right, we can literally go in and start making changes to this one, right? So let's say, for example, we want to add a dark background to this one. Oops, there we go. All right, so we want to change the colors here and go back to the lighter version, right? In fact, let's just get rid of this. How about that? Okay. And in here now, let's just add a heading just to illustrate the functionality of this. Okay, there we go. So let's say with this heading here, we want it really nice and big. I'm going to go K display. There we go. So I have my heading here, and let's say I want to have my subheading. So there's my text here, and then I'm going to set this to a subheadline. Okay, and with that subheadline, I am going to add some padding to it. So I'm going to come over here to text. Yeah, because the padding is not, I mean, the line height is not right. Okay, 1.5. I think that looks great. And now I can go in and update my preset. Excellent. So now I have my heading, my sub headline, and that is looking great. And I could say, you know what, still, I want to also compare with another version. I can come over here and then duplicate this one here. So I can go in and duplicate the canvas. And then this one here can be my dark mode. So I'm going to go into my background of this one here, right? And then we're going to go to, I don't know why I'm on page settings. I need to be on my section here. Okay, so with this, I can go to the background and then pick my color. But this time around, I am going to use, let's say, gray 900. Okay, so now I have two copies to look at. So I have this version here, this version, and that version, right? So I can easily go in between these and see which one I like. And based on my mood, I can just choose the one that I like and make it the main canvas. And making something a main canvas is very easy. You can just come over here and click here on this little drop down and then click on this star. Boom. So now this main copy is the main canvas, or I can change it to this one by clicking on this star. You can see it says set as main. And at any point, I can export the canvas, I can delete it, I can do all sorts of things. So this is really, really powerful. So if I do a preview, now I'm doing a preview of this one. So these features are, I mean, there's no other page builder that has this feature. You know, this is becoming like a piece of software for us designers now. And I really, really, really like this. Now, there's so many other features I can talk about. The other one here is the inspector. So I can literally come over here, right, and inspect this. So if I were to go in and inspect this, it shows me what I'm using here. Right? So if I want to quickly change this color, I can just go in and do it from here. Boom. Just like that. Right? But of course, this is a preset. If I want to come over here to the numbers, it's asking me to update all presets. I don't want to do that. Like I said, it's a preset. Okay. But over here on the numbers, you can see if I want to make any changes, I can go in and, you know, make specific changes here. But again, this is a preset. I wouldn't want to do that. But if it was just normal text, and let's go ahead and do that actually. because it might look like this is not a good feature. So let's just change my canvas here. I want to use this one. Okay. Right. So let's say I go in and add my text like that. So what I can do here is I can also right click and inspect like that. Right. So with the inspect open now, if I open the text, I can do a few things. I can go in and update my text here like that. And if I'd made changes to this, I want you to see what happens. If I go in and change my text size, right? I've set it to 20, right? If I were to come to my inspector now, you'll see that my text size is now set to 20. So these are the parameters I can go in quickly and just change by coming over here. So let's say I want to change this to rem. I'm going to set this to 1 rem, right? So you can see now it's updated. I can say, okay, 1.2. So the inspector now gives me more things to go in and change. So for example, I can also update my text in here, saving me clicking on different places here to achieve what I want to achieve. So the inspector will show you pretty much everything that relates to that particular module that you are working on. Okay, so the other feature as well is the layers, and this allows me to drill down to, you know, pretty much any part of my design, and I can, you know, do whatever I need to do here, delete the text. And sometimes it can be very difficult to pinpoint where your content is. This layers here does a fantastic job. Now, there's also another feature here that I want to talk about, which is the builder settings. So here you can customize your builder to how you want it. And this can be, not can be, but this is a really cool thing, because I can come over here. So now, do you see these icons here on the top? I can disable all these just like that, just to make it, much cleaner. I can also disable add placeholder content to modules if I want to work like that. Sometimes I leave it on because it just gives me some dummy text to work with. Interface mode, I have light mode. I can go in and change this to dark mode, and now you can see I can work in a dark mode. So sometimes this could be maybe an option that you want to go with, and perhaps maybe this is, you know, much better, but I don't know, for some reason I'm just used to working in light mode, so I leave it like that. I can also disable the admin bar. I'm not sure if you saw that, but right there at the top I can disable it again, making this very clean. So my interface here is very easy to now work with. Over here we also have the wireframe view, which if you guys use Divi 4, this is an old school way of doing things, but again, it's there if you need it. So as you can see, these are my main features. I really like these features. They just enhance the workflow, and I mean, there's more that I can talk about, but these are my main features. What are your main features in Divi 5, and which ones do you use on a regular basis? Let me know in the comments box below. I'll be really interested to see that. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.